Coming up on KTVH News at 5. The Montana VA has been chosen to pilot rural COVID vaccination. What that means for the state's vaccine distribution moving forward. Plus, the pandemic has been hard for many small businesses, but there are some that are currently growing.
From Montana's news leader, this is MTN News at 5.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the News at 5. I'm Andy Curtis, and thank you for joining us. The Montana VA healthcare system is beginning the vaccination of veterans not living in the nursing facility this week, and will be leading the nation in providing COVID-19 vaccination to rural veterans. MTN's John Riley has more on why Montana was selected to lead the nation in this project.
The Montana VA serves over 38,000 enrolled veterans statewide, many of which live in rural and remote parts of the state. Getting the COVID-19 vaccine to rural veterans has posed a challenge, given requirements that the vaccine be stored at certain temperatures and distances needed to travel in the state.
Getting the vaccine distributed across the state of Montana without winter weather, we would be exceeding some of those hour time requirements. So when you throw in winter and possible travel disruption, it's potentially even more challenging.
To help find solutions for those challenges, the Montana VA will lead the Veterans Health Administration pilot program for vaccinating rural vets. It will use fixed-wing aircraft to distribute COVID vaccines to rural areas. The first test will be getting vaccines to Havre on January 21st. Due to the limited doses available, the VA has been contacting and scheduling appointments with individuals that qualify. Heyman says she can't fully put into words how excited she is that the Montana VA is now at the point of getting the vaccine to those that are most at risk for the disease.
The more people that get vaccinated, the sooner they get vaccinated, then we should be at a point down the road when we no longer need to wear masks and can have some semblance of normal resume.
Until enough people are vaccinated, the Montana VA asks that people think of the state's veteran population and wear a mask, practice social distancing, and consider getting vaccinated when it becomes available for them. Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
And the state's COVID-19 case numbers continue to hold steady. 384 new cases have been reported since last night, bringing the number of active cases to just under 5,000. The statewide death total is now at 1,066 after 3 more deaths were reported last night. Now, active hospitalizations have dropped since yesterday and are under 200. Now, MTN does use a combination of state and local data to provide you with the most up-to-date numbers regarding COVID-19 across the state. And because of that, our numbers may differ from the state. Now with a look at our weather, Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz.
Well, good afternoon, Andy. Good afternoon, everybody. Boy, we've got some pretty ferocious winds that have already been blowing across parts of the state. Live look up at East Glacier. Yes, those are raindrops in East Glacier here in the middle of January, but it's the wind in this area gusting up to 70 miles per hour already. So we're pushing hurricane force winds out there. And once again, look how much of the state is under a high wind warning. Virtually all of Montana looking at powerful winds coming through here. And here's the wind forecast. Now, I know some areas, especially the valley locations of western Montana, not really looking at the wind just yet. It's coming. Believe me, trust me here. Through the night and especially into tomorrow, the wind really ramping up. Everywhere you see that shade of purple, talking wind speeds over 50 miles per hour. Some gusts maybe to 90 to 100 miles per hour along the Rocky Mountain front. By tomorrow afternoon, right around this time, everybody will be dealing just with a powerful wind here. Talking difficulty driving, severe crosswinds. Of course, we'll have maybe the possibility of some debris, power outages, structure damage, tree damage. The wind easing up a little as we get into Thursday afternoon and evening. But again, the peak wind happening tomorrow. Falling trees, falling temperatures, and I'll let you know when the snow will be falling coming up.
Teachers and other school staff are included in Phase 1C of Montana's COVID-19 vaccine distribution. unless they have certain underlying health conditions. As part of the state prepares to expand vaccine availability, MTN's Matt Holzoffel tells us that schools are beginning to plan what that looks like for their staff.
The preparation process varies as Montana schools get ready to have their teachers and staff vaccinated. For bigger school districts like Great Falls, it means surveys and a lot of planning. For smaller school districts, it could be as simple as sending a list to the local health department.
Just threw it out to everybody, and anybody that is interested, I just put their name on a list and give it to county health, and county health kind of takes care of it from there.
Fort Benton Public Schools staff is only about 50 people, most of whom Jory Thompson says have already indicated that they want to receive the COVID-19 vaccine.
When I say like my staff, I think it's about like 37, 38 of 50.
40 miles to the west, Great Falls Public Schools faces a different task.
We have close to 1,500 full-time employees, and so we sent out a survey asking them if and when the vaccine is available for them, will they accept it and do they want to be vaccinated?
Tom says they've already received over 1,000 responses to the survey, and he gets the sense that most district employees are anxious to get vaccinated. Something else that will be different district to district is how the vaccines are administered.
I think they'll just come in here and do it, just like we do flu clinics and whatnot.
I can envision doing some things before school and after school. Depending upon the number of faculty at particular schools, we may have the clinics out at their schools, or we may have them at one of the other larger schools.
It's also important to note that a school employee that is under the age of 70 would fall into Phase 1C as a frontline essential worker unless they have certain qualifying medical conditions that could bump them into Phase 1B. One more note on the Great Falls Public Schools District. At its peak, the number of staff on COVID-19 related leave was 163 back in November. As of January 8th, that number is down to 18, the lowest it's been in quite some time. In Great Falls, Matt Holzaffel, MTN News.
For one Helena business rooted in the idea of healthy green spaces in the home, the pandemic has created opportunity, helping people and plants feel more at home at home.
To say this past year was a struggle would be an understatement. But even during the pandemic and economic issues that we've been seeing, some small businesses are still growing.
You know, it's a great service that people really appreciate, and so all of my clients have been wonderful to work with.
Sarah Peterson is the owner of Keeping It Green in Helena, where she sells and cares for houseplants and other office vegetation, a nationwide industry known as interior landscaping. Like with the rest of us, the first days of the pandemic and statewide shutdowns were hectic and confusing for Sarah. But after a little time went by, she actually found her business was on some pretty solid ground.
Yeah, we've seen a pretty significant increase over the last 6 months or so. People are at home and, enjoying their house and would like some greenery around. So they've been quite excited about having some nice, new, fresh things that are different than other places carry in town.
And Sarah doesn't just sell and care for houseplants. She'll also make sure you keep yours alive by educating anyone who might not have such a green thumb.
People kind of tend to either kill their plants with love or torture them with neglect. And finding that happy balance with proper lighting and proper watering of plants, I think, is the hardest thing.
Finding a happy balance. I'd say that's pretty good advice for both plants and us humans.
Now, this story is part of our series, The Rebound, where we showcase positive stories of people navigating the challenges of COVID-19. For more information on what services Sarah offers to make sure you don't kill off your houseplants, head on over to our website, ktvh.com. And when we come back, Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grebenitz will have a complete check of your forecast. And later, the FBI has issued a warning to state capitals across the country amid growing fear of violence this weekend leading up to the inauguration.
Starts now with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grebenitz.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is an indication of just how strong the wind will be. Power outage index, really rarely show this, but there is a chance, possibility of powerful winds and power outages with maybe some power lines and also some tree branches coming down. So just keep this in mind when you see those orange shades, little windier locations and a little greater chance of maybe seeing some power outages out there. Monida right now, I'm showing you this because there was a bunch of blowing snow across Interstate 15 earlier. Livingston pointed directly at the road here. Actually, you can't drive on the road. There is a detour through Livingston, not only for tractor trailers, high-profile vehicles, but also just for cars, any car that is headed westbound. Great Falls right now, 49 degrees, made it up into the 50s, gusts 30 miles per hour. That's nothing compared to what will happen by this time tomorrow. And in Helena, now getting up into the 40s, it was a slow progression, a slow warm-up as we've been dealing with the inversions here, but 51 degrees in Havre right now. We could be 51 degrees below zero, but a mild day. And yeah, the wind 43 miles per hour in Livingston. It's the worst up around East Glacier and Browning. Browning has had a few gusts up around 70 miles per hour. Some precipitation coming through here. Helena, it's up on and west of the Continental Divide. Maybe a couple of showers east of Townsend out there around Deep Creek, around Great Falls. We're okay here. And some snow up there on Teton Pass, maybe a couple of raindrops up around the Sweetgrass Hills. But it's not about precipitation with this storm. It's more about the wind. Elsewhere around the country, it is pretty quiet here. But high wind watch, high wind warning, wind advisory. This is a major wind event here for a lot of the northern plains and the northern Rockies. Precipitation wise, again, a couple of sprinkles out there tonight into tomorrow morning, though. We'll likely have a few rain showers along the Rocky Mountain front in the lower elevations. Helena could see a couple of rain showers, a few rain showers across the north central part of the state. But by the time we get into noon and afternoon, the cold front will come through, the winds will start to howl, and with temperatures dropping, we'll see more in the way of snow showers. Now again, maybe a few snow showers producing a little coating on the ground here, but really this is about the wind here throughout Wednesday, the afternoon, the evening. Wednesday night, the wind dies down a little bit, a skosh, but we're still looking at powerful winds here across the state for Thursday, although we will have mostly sunny skies coming up on Thursday. Snowfall amounts, again, pretty high in the mountains, the high mountains above about 7,000 feet, and there may be a little skiff, a little accumulation, light accumulation with some of the snow showers coming down in lower elevations. Look at these mild overnight temperatures in the 40s out here across the High Line, likely some record warm low temperatures through the overnight hours into tomorrow morning. 41 in Lewistown, Helena staying above the freezing point. And here's the forecast for tomorrow. Absolutely brutal wind right here, Browning down through Choteau to Augusta. 70, 80, maybe 90 mile per hour winds through the late morning into the afternoon. Great Falls, just a brutal wind all day long. The worst wind right around noontime and through the afternoon. 50s early on, snow showers around Havre and Harlem later into the afternoon, maybe a rain shower around Opine early on. Lewistown also, some rain showers going over to some snow showers, and around Helena, temperatures pushing 50 degrees, rain showers early, going over to snow showers by the afternoon. So you'll likely see a little precipitation, but again, it's all about the wind that will be powerful throughout the day. Thursday, a windy day, but it's mostly sunny. Friday, a mountain snow shower or two. Sunday, a couple of snow showers. So the wind won't be as bad once we get through about Thursday. And for Great Falls, just a nasty windy day tomorrow. And on Thursday, a colder wind on Thursday, a couple of snow showers on Sunday, and we'll gradually turn colder and snowier towards the end of the month.
Well, the FBI has a warning for police departments at state capitals across the country. Prepare for armed protests starting this weekend and ahead of the Biden inauguration next week. The FBI sent a memo to law enforcement agencies across the country warning of possible armed protests starting this weekend. And security officials warned that Democratic members of the House Monday could take some specific threats surrounding the inauguration. For the inaugural, there will be a tight perimeter around the Capitol with thousands of police and National Guard on the streets.
We continue to gather intelligence that will aid in our ability to disrupt possible future violent activity.
It's virtually unprecedented to see this kind of broad yet specific intelligence bulletin go out to everyone.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is calling for travel restrictions for those caught participating in last week's events. And coming up next on the News at 5, this CMR senior is not letting anything stop her from playing this season.
Leader, you're watching MTN News at 5.
Welcome back, everyone. The CMR girls face the Great Falls High Bison tonight in the first crosstown clash of the season. Tom Wiley tells us why every game is a gift for one senior wrestler.
In CMR's home opener, senior Lauren Wilkins took the floor with a smile, a drive, and a few nerves.
I was a little nervous to get back on the court because it had been a full year just about since my last game. So I was super eager to be able to get back on the court with the girls that I love.
It marked a comeback from unimaginable depths, filled with suffering, setbacks, and uncertainty.
Everything that I once had was gone.
Wilkins has played basketball her entire life, but noticed a change after the first day of tryouts as a junior.
I came home and I was up late till like 4 in the morning with just lots of stomach issues, and from there it progressed and got worse. Yeah, it was really hard to go through that because not having control of your body is, it's scary.
Doctors were puzzled by her illness and struggled to find a diagnosis. In the meantime, Wilkins' condition continued to go downhill.
I kept trying to push myself harder because that's the kind of person that I am, but I just kept getting worse. So I was getting, just like nausea all the time. My hands would turn like blue and white, and it was really scary because I had lost like 20 pounds in about a month.
The illness affected all facets of life, physical and mental.
There's a lot of like deep wounds that come from everything being taken away from you.
Wilkins and her family traveled to Mayo Clinic to find answers and eventually a diagnosis. Lauren had something called postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, or POTS for short, a condition that affects blood flow in the body and severely impacts the nervous system. The bad news was that it was chronic. The good news, it was manageable with treatment and lifestyle changes, extra sleep, strict diet, medication, and these fancy compression socks she wears on the court.
With my health, I'm kind of like an 18-year-old in an 80-year-old's body, so the mentality comes with that too.
Lauren's return to the sport she loves had an incredible effect on her team, both on the court and off.
Her leadership is unparalleled. What she brings to the table is, she makes you smile. You can't help it. And that's the thing about last year is she never had a bad day.
And it's given Lauren a new perspective.
Suffering is such a beautiful gift. Having my world get rocked, basically, definitely reordered my priorities.
But of course, she didn't make this comeback on her own. A return to the court wouldn't have been possible without her faith, her family, and her friends.
It's just such a blessing to be able to have people that you can trust and that you can be vulnerable with. I think a lot of people are not attuned to being vulnerable, and this diagnosis of my chronic illness has definitely allowed me to do that. Just so thankful for all of that.
Tom Wiley, MTN Sports.
Well, we'll wrap things up here next, but first, here's a look at what's coming up tonight on the NBC Nightly News.
When we welcome our West Coast viewers, the chilling new threats lawmakers are being warned of tonight and the steps extremists are taking to hide their planning. Also, how the government hopes to make more COVID vaccine available as confusion and bottlenecks reign. When we see you for NBC Nightly News.
News Leader, you're watching MTN News at 5.
Today marks the 79th anniversary of the passing of Fort Benton's Shep, the forever faithful sheepdog. Now, the Border Collie mix found his way to Fort Benton in 1936 following his ill master, who was taken to St. Clair Hospital. Shep's master passed a few days later, and their coffin was loaded onto a train and shipped back east to the family. Now, for the next 5.5 years, Shep greeted every passenger that arrived in Fort Benton, seemingly looking for his lost master. On the morning of January 12, 1942, the old sheepdog, who was hard of hearing, was struck by a train and died. 2 days later, a funeral was held for Shep and hundreds were in attendance. People still visit Fort Benton from far and wide just to learn more about Shep, the dog that embodied what it means to be man's best friend.
Wow, the words right out of my mouth there, Andy. Windy day tomorrow. That's an understatement. Some gusts may be up to around 50 or 60 miles per hour in Helena. And yeah, a couple of snow showers Friday, then again Sunday. But overall, I do believe that towards the latter part of the month, I'm going to say January 23rd, keep that date in mind. That's when we could be looking at a return of Arctic air and snow.
Well, thank you for making us a part of your evening. NBC Nightly News is next. We'll see you back here at 6.